Hi, I'm Heather Race, and today I'm going to be discussing students with ADHD. How many students with ADHD are currently being served in the U.S.? The textbook Exceptional Lives, Special Education in Today's Schools by Anne Turnbull states that the United States has about 7% of children who are identified as having ADHD, and that number has been increasing since the 1990s. Boys are more likely to be identified as having ADHD than girls, and this trend is occurring because boys exhibit externalizing behaviors while girls exhibit internalizing behaviors. Since ADHD characteristics of girls are not directly disruptive, their symptoms are often overlooked. Recently, there has been a sharp increase in the number of young girls who are diagnosed with ADHD since 2003. ADHD can be identified as early as 4 years old, but the majority of children are diagnosed around the age 12, and some children do not receive a diagnosis until they're adults. There is a large amount of controversy of early diagnosis of children and the issue of medication. How has the number of students identified increased in recent years, and what are the reported reasons? As stated in the previous slide, the number of children diagnosed with ADHD has increased in the last 20 years. The number of diagnosed children increased by about 30%. The well-accredited research news website, Science Daily, found that 12% of the U.S. population is diagnosed with ADHD. This study also found that there has been an increase in ADHDs for girls since 2003 to 2011, and this as well as a sharp jump in subcategories as well. While studies spotted increased trends, it is unclear as to why ADHD rates are included from this study. Articles by Mac R. Hicks, who has a PhD in psychology, published on Psychology Today, that some factors that explain the rise of ADHD in recent years. Some factors that have led to this increase include the pressure on parents and teachers to medicate, overdiagnosis, children spending less time outdoors, lack of structure and poor sleeping habits, and an increase in digital devices. While these factors could lead to behaviors that mimic ADHD, research has shown that they do not directly cause ADHD. What are the specific behaviors and characteristics of students with ADHD, and what ways do these characteristics make it difficult for students to learn and participate in school? Within the disorder, there are 3 subtypes: predominantly inattentive type, predominantly hyperactive impulsive type, and combined type. Predominantly inattentive type is when a child experiences difficulties in paying attention to details, academics and social activities, listening when being directly talked to, following directions, organizational skills, focusing, keeping track of items, and sustaining mental effort. In order to be diagnosed with this subcategory, a child must show at least 6 or more of these characteristics. Oftentimes, children of this subcategory are overlooked because it is not outwardly disruptive. Children diagnosed with this subcategory are also at higher risk of negatively impacting their activity or academic, social skills, and emotional regulation. It is difficult for the student to make connections and learn from their experiences. Predominantly hyperactive impulsive type is when a student with ADHD has difficulties with keeping hands and feet still, staying seated, resisting running and climbing in inappropriate times, quietly participating, resisting the urge to move, flirting, waiting turns, and interrupting others. These children are always moving and have difficult times resisting that urge. This can make it very difficult for the child to focus and finish assignments on the allotted time. The last type is the combined type. As one might guess, it's a combination of both the hyperactive impulsive type and the inattentive type. The child may exhibit any combination of the characteristics stated, making each child's ADHD characteristics unique to them. Academic challenges include focusing, staying on task, making social connections, and increasing the internalizing and externalizing behavior. This subtype is the most common and can persist into adulthood. Overall, children with ADHD have difficult times regulating their emotions and tend to have challenges with communicating in social texts or contexts. These characteristics are oftentimes leading to challenges in the student's academics. Anne Trumbaugh's textbook, Exceptional Lives, Special Education in Today's Schools, presents research over academic achievement for students with ADHD, and this is what they found. Students with ADHD have overcome or overall lower academic achievement and grade point averages, but they show higher retention rates. Students' vocabulary development tends to be lagging as well as working memory, which can make reading a challenge for them. Inattention has been more connected to academic challenges than hyperactivity. And lastly, the researchers have found that the inability to plan ahead and to organize time and materials was the strongest predictor of academic achievement. Do all students with ADHD demonstrate the same characteristics or degree of behavior? No. So ADHD is not the same for every child. Factors that determine if a child will develop ADHD include hereditary, brain structure, and the child's environment. Heredity is the genes that are passed down from generation to generation, and for ADHD, there are multiple gene irregularities that research has shown to lead to disorder. Different combinations of gene irregularities result in different structures of ADHD, making each child unique. Brain structure is another factor that has been linked to ADHD and can vary slightly from each individual, causing different characteristics to be exhibited. Anne Trumbaugh's work has shown that an individual with ADHD may have different variations in brain volume, function, or neurochemical factors. The child's environment impacts the child in many ways. Although environmental factors are not directly linked to ADHD, research has shown that they correlate with genetic factors. Some environmental factors include prenatal, and postnatal causes. The extent of exposure to tetrogens during the development can cause gene mutations and birth defects that can impact brain structure and neurological functions. Postnatal factors that correlate with more inattentive symptoms are toxins, poverty, abuse, and inadequate diet. According to IEDA of 2004, under what category are students with ADHD identified? IDEA lists ADHD as a subcategory of other health impairments, end quote. This subcategory of IDEA states that students with limited strength, vitality, or alertness includes a heightened alertness to environmental stimuli that limits their alertness to the educational environment. These limitations are due to chronic or acute health problems and adversely affect the child's educational performance. What is effective class-wide interventions for all students? Ensuring that all students succeed in the classroom and outside the classroom is the ultimate goal of the teacher. For students, especially those with ADHD, certain interventions may be implemented to promote academic achievement and establish necessary life skills to advance successfully through one's life. Organizational and goal-setting skills are some of the top skills that have been shown to lead to success in adult life for all students. Organizational skills can be challenging for any student, but is especially those for students with ADHD. Educators need to teach effective work skills and note-taking skills so that the child can learn to self-instruct and self-monitor. These skills form the foundation of effective learning. Goal-setting skills build off of organizational skills. Once the student is organized and able to self-monitor and self-instruct, They're able to know the tasks that are needed to be completed and how to best go about completing them. When students are thinking ahead and about how to complete these tasks, they learn personal goals such as setting time limits. It is a skill that promotes efficiency. In addition to organizational and goal-setting skills, students should be taught how social and emotional skills. So many students today are unable to communicate effectively with those around them and are challenged when faced with opposing ideas. In the adult world, communication and social skills are necessary for success in careers. Students should be teaching these skills to all adults, or to all students, especially students with ADHD who have an extra difficult time focusing and communicating with those around them. And here are my citations. Thank you.